We said
I'm
that
over
was
here.
almost an hour already.
I'm over here. I'm over here just Judge Judy, just listening, just a tennis match right here. I said, you know what? And I was legit listening. I was like, okay, they're saying the same thing, and I'm trying
Mm-hmm.
to maybe figure out how I can verbalize what you're both saying. I was like, fuck it. Like, fuck it. I ain't got it tonight.
I ain't got it. All right, ladies, what time is it? Ask
Ask
your
Your
aunties.
Ow.
All right, this one says, "Hey, aunties, I need your advice. I was at the bar the other night, and excuse me, I burped. I was at the bar the other night, and the conversation came around to a guy we all know, and I thought we all liked. But the trash talk became so intense, I finally excused myself to go to the bathroom in the hope that they'd be finished by the time I got back. I really don't get why us gays, and again, supposedly friends of this person, feel okay about ripping someone a new one just because they're not there to defend themselves. What's that about? And how can I let them know that what they're doing is anything but cool without becoming the guy they talk about when I'm not there?"
You need to stop worrying about that last part and just speak your truth in like, hey, like this conversation or XYZ, whatever your opinion is, however you feel, speak about it. Don't worry about what other people are going to think about you speaking up. That's why you have a voice. Jarrell, you were going to say something.
Oh no, I wasn't. I was like, yes, I was agreeing with you where you were.
Yeah, I was like, that part at the end just. So what if they talk about you? What, for defending your friend? That's what friends do. So if you have to go to your friends and say, hey, that conversation made me a little uncomfortable, here's why, like whatever it may be, speak your truth and defend your friend. If you are going to be that friend to both of those groups, that one individual that wasn't there and the group that was talking shit, be a true friend and have those real conversations and just be like, hey, I wasn't cool with that conversation. Like, is there like, how can we not do that anymore?
You know, this is crazy. As you were reading, I was like, did one of my friends in this sound? Because like I've been in a couple of groups now here in Seattle specifically where I've noticed stuff like this starting to happen within my friend groups. And I've had to have conversations about like, one, you know, all this is just wasted breath because you're not saying it to a person who you might want to change something. And maybe you saying something actually might be the catalyst that actually changed the thing that you don't like about them. I was like, and also, this also shows your lack of willingness to also try to make the situation better too, because all you're doing is talking about it behind their back, and that's it. So I've literally been talking about with some people here that I've hang around with about the whole notion of like, if you can't say something to that person's face, that means you have something unresolved that you need to finish to feel comfortable enough and secure enough to have that conversation with that person. And a lot of that starts with people's inability to have effective communication with saying something that may be harmful without actually hurting a person. You can give someone your opinions or your feelings without making someone feel like shit. It's all about your word choice. So I think a lot of people may need to learn how to be able to express themselves and communicate. And that's one of the things that I pride myself on being that type of friend is like, at least with me, you will never have to understand where you stand with me because I will always make sure to say it directly to you. And I'm also that person who speaks up when people aren't around to, hey, that's not what I'm about. And I don't tolerate that. Y'all can go talk about that when I'm not around.
Yeah.
But what you're not gonna do is put me in the middle of some shit. And now I'm gonna have to check you. And that's between you. But now you're making me check you because you want me to play your little kitty game of not liking someone, but that ain't got shit to do with me.
With you, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's how I am. Like people that know me, I don't do it. And I think part of it is just in a weird way started just foundationally from church, be like, don't gossip and all that stuff. So like it was like kind of drilled in me. but even to now, like I just find it very. Oh God, just very. It just shows a lot about you. We'll say it that way, because it's just like I get sometimes people want to vent. I get that 1,000%. But there's a thin line between you just venting about the situation and venting in a way where, like, I could tell you ain't even talked to them about this shit, and now, like, you just down, like, talking down to them, and I'm friends with this human being,
right?
Like, so you don't respect my time and my relationships, nor
Yeah.
yourself, honestly, because, like, now everybody looking at you crazy, like. Okay, if you're saying this shit with them not here, what you talking about me here? And so and I always speak up about it. I'm like, it's like we either not gonna do this with Carell here. No, you're not. No, I'm good. Or I'm just gonna
in Carell's famous words, I stay out
of grown folks' business. I do because and then this might even come back to like Jarrell's statement earlier. It's just like I don't know what they are going through. So I'm not going to sit here and waste time and try to make assumptions about something that I really wasn't there for, nor honestly got the time to care too much because you ain't talked to them. So you need like...
Shut up. Go ahead.
Oh, no. So, I mean, just like for them to talk this intensely, like you said, that like so intense... Okay, clearly they have an issue that they need to go sort out. And I'm glad you kind of excused yourself. But I think the next step in that statement is just like, if it still make you feel that uncomfortable, like, hey, y'all, okay, if y'all want to talk about this, like, can y'all do it when, like, either I'm gone, like, check please, or like, because it's just not cool. And at least state your piece there. That way, from here on out, if you continue to hang with this group of friends, that they know next time Carell's in the room, oh, we ain't talking about that when Carell here. Right. We ain't doing that. And that's a respect level, hopefully, that they afford you. And if not, then it might be time to change that circle up because they're not respecting what you need to keep your peace and what your moral standard is.
Absolutely. Right. And honestly, that's the reason why I would worry about that last part when he says, or they say, becoming that guy they talk about when I'm not there. I would honestly say, if expect them to automatically do, if people talk about, if someone's
they talking about you,
if you know that they talk about other people when they're not there, they are talking about you.
Yep.
Already assume it. They are talking about you, and if they can't respect not doing that when you're around, then I think you need to start excusing yourself from the situation and just being like, you know what, that's a. And now from Carell's part, that I don't got the time for it. That ain't where my energy at.
It really isn't.
Adult friendships and relationships require grace, and grace is grace is available to all. And and I'll never forget a friend of a friend said this. I can't even remember what the context was, but he said, "Grace is available to all. It serves its greatest purpose when it is given to those who least deserve it." And we all have benefited from some grace. So
1,000%.
Acknowledge, like, okay, you know what? I'm going to give my friends a little bit of grace. I'm going to step off to the side. I'm going to go to the restroom, take a breather. I give you props for whoever wrote this for excusing yourself from the situation because you don't know how you're going to react and giving yourself that grace. And then if it happens again, or if you just want to address it, none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. We do things that we do things that maybe we just realize aren't cool in the moment. And then later on, we're like, damn. And maybe that's what your friends need. Maybe they just need that one-on-one connection. Like, yo, so-and-so, the other night, what was that about? And like this is going to sound so HR-ish, but have that feedback. Like, you got to be able to have those honest conversations with your friends. Otherwise, they are not friends.
Facts.
Plain and simple.
Facts.
Yeah. And I like how you said that, like, to have that one-off, or even if it's like a bunch of y'all there, having it another time, because what you don't want to do is go back to some other friend and start doing what you just said you don't like them doing. So you don't want to do that. But, at some point you're going to have to acknowledge it and speak up for, at least at minimum, for what you need. And if they talk about you for it, it is what it is. Like you can't control that piece of it, but at least you have the peace of knowing, hey, that bothers me and I don't like associating with folks that do that, and saying your piece, and what comes out of it comes out of it, honestly. And a lot of times you'll find out they were just having a bad day. They were having an event moment. And so at least now they know, A, you don't stand for that. And then B, like Landon was saying, that element of grace that you afforded them, just saying, okay, you know what, they did have a bad day. They was venting. They was like fed up and things like that. And we've all been there. We've all been there, 1,000%. Yeah. And sometimes I listen to our our Ask Yo Aunteas. I'm like, ooh, we be sounding like the PR, like the PC police. Like, bitch, no, we all been there and fuck up and do shit that, like, we look back like, damn, that ain't cool for real. Like, that's not what I'm gonna stand for. So, like,
I will say, I've been called out by someone about, like, oh, so did you say such and such about me when I wasn't there? And I was like,
it's a damn idea, huh?
And I was like, you know what, you're right. And literally I was like, you know what, that was not cool of me, but here it is. Like, this is the shit that's bothering me. And it was a conversation that needs to be had. And we end up ending our friendship, but it ended on the terms of, this isn't something that's going to work for the both of us. Not, oh, you were doing something shady. It was, I said my piece, and that person was like, well, this is who I am. And I was like, well, hey, that's cool. I'm not gonna knock you. And so we've never been friends since, you know, and we had like 8 years of friendship, and that had to go, you know. So I can say I've experienced that, like, it also can be a little humbling once you get called out for not being a good friend. And it was in that moment where I was like, you know, I'm not gonna be that person again. Like, if I really want to be the best version of myself, then I need to have the courage to say how I feel to the people that need to hear it.
Yeah. Because that's the only way, either, like you said, either the friendship is done or the friendship continues on in a better form. That's the only way. And it's hard, though. That's stuff that we all really don't get taught in our lives. You know, like, you try to you either emulate what you saw at home or your friend group growing up or whatever it is, or try to emulate what's on TV, and sometimes that ain't even the right way to do it either. And so sometimes these are just lessons you have to learn along the way, and those are some scars that, you know, come along the path of life that you just have to learn, and either you learn from it, or sometimes it take a couple times, you know, just like, shit, I got a slick ass mouth, like, let me like, shit, okay, Carell, like, if that's the feedback they continue to give you, okay, there's always a little truth in it, so fix what you don't, like, fix what makes you uncomfortable from hearing it, you know, and that's all you gotta do. So that's a cool question, though, because
that's a very good question.
We haven't had one like that in a while. So community, thank you for stepping up and sending some of these questions. Hey,
would also love to get an update on this one, because finding out, like, if you have those conversations with either that one person or, you know, the other people that were within the group that were maybe talking, and you didn't feel that didn't feel right with your spirit, and you had to say something. Like, would love to hear, like, what the follow-up is. And guess what, even if you didn't or don't do anything, that's okay too. At least you asked, and you can reflect back at that moment and say, you know what, if it happens again, now I know what I might do.
So continue to send your Ask Yo Auntie questions to aya@minorityareport.com or DM us.
Oh my God, you did it this time.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a minute. The last, like, 30 episodes, been struggling to get that out. I don't know why. It's like after 187 episodes, you start to, like, try to put a twist on it, and then you end up, like, screwing yourself up.